On this week's episode, it's another edition of My Portugal, and I'm delighted to be joined by Sebastian and Marianne, originally from the UK, working in Saudi Arabia, but their home and their happy place is right here in São Martinho do Porto on Portugal's Silver Coast. And this is some of their story.
That's good.
Have you got enough? Have you got enough in your glass?
Well, I think I might just top it up before we get.
Top it up there. Top it up. I'm behaving myself. I'm drinking water.
I should have been drinking water yesterday.
Okay, just move the glass so that I can see you, Marianne.
Yeah.
There we go. Cool. Welcome back. Welcome to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life. And I'm super excited. It's a special episode for me. Another edition of My Portugal. And I'm joined here by Sebastian and Marianne. Hi, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Dylan. Good to see you.
Likewise. So let's put it into perspective. First of all, what this is for you, and also for people that are listening that haven't heard a My Portugal episode before. My Portugal is a special edition that we have on the podcast about people like yourselves. I would say normal, but just people like yourselves who have found Portugal, fallen in love with Portugal, developed a relationship with Portugal, and have a home or a home away from home in Portugal. And to put it in perspective, we haven't seen each other since, I think, 2018.
Yeah.
When you first bought that apartment. So it's amazing. I'm really excited for you to be here. But maybe you can just start off, guys, just by telling us a little bit about you.
You go first.
Okay. So I'm Sebastian. I work for Saudi Aramco in Saudi Arabia. So I'm 48 and I'm a chemist. Now, my father's Portuguese. I've always felt a love for Portugal. Portugal has always wanted to be my home, and we've made that reality come true.
And I'm Marianne, and I am 50-ish, and I also work for Saudi Aramco, live in Saudi Arabia, and from Scotland originally.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's unpack things a little bit here, guys. Like I said, we met in 2018, but Sebastian, your relationship with Portugal started long before that. Your dad, as you mentioned, your dad's Portuguese. Tell us a little bit about that background and your first visits and memories of Portugal.
Yeah, my dad's Portuguese. He left Portugal along with a lot of guys at that time in the 50s, and he came through Spain into France into the UK, where he settled and lived. But his heart's always been in Portugal. My first trip was, I think I was around 4 years old, and we went back, and this is very rural Portugal. This is northeast Portugal near the Serra da Estrela mountains.
Oh wow! Okay.
And we met my grandma for the first time, and that would be mid-70s. And I remember cheese, bread, coffee, wine, always a glass of wine somewhere. So
at 4 years old, you remember wine already?
Absolutely, yeah. and this is a tiny little village where they traditionally don't see many foreign people, other than maybe some Spanish, because it's near the Spanish border. But so it was a real eye opener. But what struck me, and to this day, that strikes me, is how friendly the place is, how friendly the whole country is, and the nation is, and very welcoming.
Brilliant. And how many times did you visit after that? What do you remember changing? What do you remember not changing in your subsequent visits to the country?
We came back every 3 or 4 years, because then international travel isn't as easy as it is now. But we came back every 3 or 4 years. Things I remember going to my dad's village the first time, and there's no tarmac road. It's a dirt track for the last few kilometers. And then we're coming back and seeing, tarmac roads and generally modernizing. But one thing that doesn't change is the people, and the attitude of the people is just so friendly and so welcoming to everybody. Even if you don't speak the language, and there's not much English spoken in that part of Portugal, but people always made an effort to communicate, and you always felt friendly, safe, and welcome.
Brilliant. Marianne, let's go. Now we're jumping down a few years from those days that Seb visited. But I mean, when was your first visit to Portugal? Was it with Sebastian, or was it before that?
No.
Okay.
I came over with Sebastian. When was it? 2015, 16. We hired 16 or 17. We hired a motorhome for 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
We came from Saudi, and we didn't have a plan. We just knew that we wanted to travel around and have so we started off on the Silver Coast. We had a couple of nights.
Went to Nazaré.
Went to Nazaré first, I think. Then São Martinho. Then up to Foz. Then up. We went over the mountains, actually. We went to look at a couple of houses inland near Coimbra.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we went over the mountains the wrong way in the motorhome. We ran out of gears at the top. It was like... Then we had a couple of nights. And where did we go? Cavilla. And
then we went to Viana do
Castelo. And then we still had 4 or 5 days.
We started,
we had a couple of nights in Porto. Then we worked our way back down. And we ended up the last 3 days in São Martinho. And I think one of the things was all the reviews in the camper van type book that they give you, all the reviews, and the first thing I do is go to the toilet reviews, see what facilities are available. And they didn't get very good write-ups on like all the local campsites, as in, the municipality one. None of them had good write-ups, so we kind of tried to avoid it. But we were actually really surprised when we got there. It was lovely. It was right in the middle of this town, isn't it? You can out the door and walk along for,
and the view,
straight out over the bay, And when we, after that 3 weeks, we had a few walks around and we saw a few houses, and we actually put an offer in on one, which I think we told you about at the time, down in Óbidos on the lagoon. It's probably still for sale, actually. Anyway, we came back here, didn't we? And then we saw the house that we bought. We saw it. We went for a walk one day along to the very end. And when we walked past, there was this couple, sitting on their sun loungers drinking gin and tonics. And it's like, God, wouldn't that be amazing to own, one of these? They'd probably be way out of our price range. You just don't know, do you? Because the building looks absolutely amazing. And then, following year, we saw it on the market.
We contacted you.
We're
coming from Saudi Arabia. We've got 4 days. Let's do this. Yeah.
We're going to get into all of that. I mean, what's happened in your lives where, Saudi and how sort of, things have evolved where you start to consider, okay, this is a place that we'd like to own something. Mm-hmm. And potentially use it as a second home, potentially a future long-term home. What's happened that's brought you, the two of you, to that decision?
So Saudi Arabia is it can be volatile, but it's a transitory place. Everybody's transient. No, it's not home to anybody. We can't, if we choose to, we couldn't make a home there.
We're only there on working visas.
People are only ever passing through on work, and it's a multitude of changeover. And for us, we'd sold all our other properties, and we were living in Saudi Arabia in the company provided accommodation, and we were like, we don't have a home. We don't have a home to go to.
If anything
goes wrong, or even for the future, we just didn't have a home. And for me, I've always felt that longing for Portugal. I mean, for me, it's always been Portugal. And after the trip there with the motorhome, it would just sort of re-emphasize that, especially seeing everywhere. So we wanted somewhere that we could call home and we could go to if we needed. We needed that security, I suppose, but also we wanted it to be in the right place. And that was Portugal.
I mean, Marianne, for you, did Sebastian oversell Portugal? Did he get it right? What were the things that were interesting for you, that surprised you, that grabbed you, that attracted you to this place?
I think, basically the friendliness of everybody. It was very friendly, and people do try and speak other languages to help you. The friendliness of the place, the food, the drink. I got that in the right order this time. The food and the drink, fresh food every day. We live in Saudi Arabia where everything comes in on a boat. They don't grow anything apart from mangoes. Nothing grows in Saudi really. Everything's imported. Nothing's got much flavour. It's not, Whereas here you've got everything on the doorstep and 99% of it's actually produced in Portugal. It's nice to see, that they keep all the good stuff in Portugal, where most people sell the good stuff to everybody else, but everything's just, and it's a beautiful climate. We don't mind cold. I'm not keen on the wet, but, if it's cold, you can put a layer on. If it's, I just thought the weather was lovely. Everything about it,
If you're not keen on the wet, you were born in the wrong place.
I know. Well, that was it. Yes. And even before we met, I've always said there's no way I'm going back to the UK to live.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Why not the UK? Why not back to one of your home countries, or in inverted commas, home countries?
I think the weather's got a lot to play for it for me. The quality of life is so much different.
It's a different pace of life. In Portugal, that pace of life is that much more relaxed. Everything's much more slower and more relaxed. And for me, certainly for retiring, that's what I want. I want a friendly country that at a nice pace. The weather, the climate, the fresh, as Marianne says, the fresh produce is just amazing. The taste, the flavors. If it's fish, it's been caught that morning. If it's vegetables, it's probably been pulled the day before. And when you're in the supermarkets or in the markets, when you go to the small town markets, they're just fantastic for food and the culture and it's just amazing.
Okay, I mean we'll talk a little bit more about São Martinho de Porto because it is a special place. But let's just chat about the whole process and take us through the steps. You mentioned that you had visited in the motorhome. You had seen a few places here and there. You got back from your trip and then you took some steps into trying to find out what's available in town, I presume. Just take us through some of those steps.
Okay, so we were probably an estate agent's worst nightmare. Worst nightmare when we came to Portugal, because what do you want? I don't know. How much do you want to spend?
Don't know.
How long's a piece of string? You want inland? You want in town? I don't know. Show me. But after 3 weeks of touring around, we did narrow it down. We kind of decided what we wanted. We wanted Silver Coast, and we did narrow it down. São Martinho was always beautiful, probably a favourite. We visited Nazaré and Foz and Albidos, but I don't know. There was something about São Martinho, apart from the bay, which is just stunning. So we came away and we said, well, if nothing else, we've got an idea. And we just kept surfing the web, seeing what was available, saying yes, maybe, no, maybe. And then we saw the apartment for sale. And it was like, oh my God, that's the apartment that we loved. And I know exactly, you know exactly where it is. You know exactly where it sits. And it was like, we need to go. We need to go. So I think we contacted you maybe the end of the week. And we were booking flights by the end of that day. We were booking flights back to Portugal. And we had 3 days in Portugal.
Yeah, I remember quite clearly because you were quite clear. You were quite clear about what you wanted. It wasn't sort of ambiguous. You had pretty much settled on the location and the type of property, and you knew the apartment, like you mentioned. Yeah. I didn't know this part, that you had walked past it previously and thought, hey, that's quite nice. So that's interesting how that all works out. In terms of, I mean, what do you remember now coming back with sort of maybe a bit more of a focused mind? This is now not a holiday anymore. This is almost a business trip. What do you remember about those few days and how that all played out?
Okay, so with the whole process with yourself, having dealt with some other real estate agents in the past, it was just refreshing. It was very refreshing. The basic honesty and the straight answer. So that was fantastic, and that made us feel a lot more confident in coming. So we booked flights, and we pretty much set our hearts on this apartment on the day we got on the flight. And you showed us some other properties as well, which was very good for us because it put it into perspective. But hey, we still liked the one that we liked. That was
that wasn't going to change, was it?
And we came with a very positive set. We're here for 3 days, and we intend on flying back on the third day, having secured the property. So yeah.
And what about for you, Marianne? I mean, because again, I mean, you've sort of come in a bit later to the Portuguese party than Seb. What were some of your memories and your thoughts? Did you have any concerns at the time? What was going through your mind when you're jumping on a plane to potentially come and buy a property in Portugal?
I was excited. Yeah, I was really excited. You know, we took 1 day off work each, you know, and we were on different weekends in Saudi Arabia. So yeah, I took the Thursday off, and we were on the flight, weren't we, on the Wednesday night. We landed in São Martinho. I think we phoned you and said that's us here, or, you know, we got to the hotel and you picked us up half an hour later. Went out and saw the apartment, and then you took us to maybe another two or three. There was one that was just being built over in Salier, and we saw another house in Salier, and then we went over the back and we saw one on the cliff tops. We went into one of the 3 bedrooms there, I think. Yeah. But for us, that was the only one, you know, perspective, wasn't it, to see what else was out there. But yeah, then we put the offer in, didn't we, that afternoon? And I remember us sitting in Lemons or something like that. With a bottle or two of celebrations. Then we came round and signed all the paperwork. The next day, you met us for coffee in the morning. I remember it all clear. You know, you met us for coffee in the morning, and then you got the phone call to say that the offer had been accepted. It was like that TV programme, you know, the Place in the Sun or something. Then you took us to the solicitors. He took us to the town hall. Then he took us back to your offices, SCH, and then we met the ladies from SCH, and we were back on a flight the next night.
I remember. I just remember. I mean, it all happened really, really quickly. Which
4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, and the property was ours.
Which is not. It's not unusual for things to move this quickly sometimes. But the thing that I do remember is the two of you were really, really calm and relaxed. I don't know if that was maybe just the way it seemed, but you know, but you seemed really, really relaxed. I mean, was it an enjoyable process? Was it calm for you? Did you feel like you were relaxed the whole way through?
Yeah. It was. It was seamless. It couldn't have been better. Mm-hmm. Everybody we dealt with every stage of the way was very professional, very quick. Everything was very, very punctual. Yeah. It really was a stress-free process.
And I think the choice of the solicitor, knowing him now, you know, knowing that he was involved in all the building of that, you know, the apartments, and he actually had all the paperwork. You know, he was dealing with the people before, he was dealing with us, so everything was there. It just,
but the whole
thing,
the whole power of attorney
contacting
and you was, from day one to the last day was seamless.
Yeah. I mean, because I always find that it's quite an interesting transition for people is coming and experiencing the Portuguese sort of hospitality as a holiday maker, as a tourist, and then seeing the Portuguese, you know, hospitality in another way, translated on a business sense, you know, and the way that Portuguese people will bend over backwards to help you in a cafe or in an ice cream parlor. You're seeing the same thing happen on a business level with, you know, project managers or lawyers and things like that. Was that the same experience for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nothing was too much trouble. Yeah.
We actually didn't have much to do. You know, when you took us to the solicitor,
we were just
between you and him, everybody did everything for us. It was simple. For us, it was probably one of the most straightforward things that we've done.
Wonderful.
You know, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just
show me where to sign.
Yeah. We'll sign on the dotted line.
Okay, and let's talk about São Martinho de Porto. First, I mean, just describe to people without giving away your address, so that you don't have any weirdos rocking up at your doorstep. Just describe the property, and what was so special, and why you loved this place so much.
I would say because of the location of it. There's nothing ever in front of us unless somebody parks a camper van on the pier. But there's nothing in front of us that can ruin the view. We see right round the bay and right across. We're a 3-minute walk and we're on the beach. There's a beautiful outside space, and even in winter, it's sheltered, and the sun's on it all day. So even sitting in the winter, we can sit outside with a gin and tonic or something, and we can be sitting there in shorts and t-shirts, and all the locals are walking past in big coats, but it's actually a sun trap. It's actually it's a sun trap.
But you would never tire of that view of that bay in winter, summer. It just looks amazing. I mean, it is a stunning bay, but when you're taken to that, the buildings, the history of the place, and the amazing restaurants only a few minutes walk in either direction is just amazing.
We've probably got 5 fish restaurants, and I love the little Italian, and we're not talking more than a minute and a half walking, to get all these beautiful restaurants.
Mm-hmm. And as I say, that just, and the little tunnel through, and then you're out on the Atlantic, and the difference.
We went for lunch. We went for lunch with you.
Yes.
Did we have lunch?
We had lunch the following. When we came back in August, September, they brought us a bottle of Ginga. And then we went to the little fish restaurant along the road.
That's right. Pesca no Prato.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is what you were talking about, Sebastian, with the fresh fish. I mean, that's a restaurant just to the right of your apartment. And there's no menu. It's literally like, what have you caught?
Whatever's
this is what we've got. Yeah,
it was lovely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for people that don't know São Martinho de Porto, maybe just paint Marianne, paint people a picture. What is this place? What's special about it?
The bay is probably the most famous bay. When you see pictures of São Martinho, it's always the horseshoe bay. The beach, I think, is called Children's Beach because of how safe it is. Nobody's going to get swept away there, are they? It's a gentle bay just sitting on the very tip of the Atlantic Ocean. The waves will knock you off your feet if you go 100 yards in the other direction, but in the bay, it's just amazing. A beautiful. And all the way around, you can walk along. You can walk right round the beach over to the next village. And
it makes for a huge beach. Yeah. So there's never any crowding. There's so much room for people. Yeah.
And it's busy, and it's got a nice feel about it. It is, even when we go, at the moment, we just go on holiday. No, not this year or last year. But, we go on holiday and you feel like it's a holiday. You've got your home comforts at home. You can walk out and get, an amazing meal,
but just the feel for the place, just the ambiance,
a buzz
and you see the local people walking along and sitting on the seawall and having a chat and having a coffee in the local cafes, and it's got a real feel to it. It doesn't feel artificial, where some holiday places feel very artificial. It's still very much Portugal, and there's still that very much a local culture going on as well.
Mm.
Yeah, well, you visit in the winter. You've got the Portuguese people walking around with jackets and scarves, and then you've got this mad Scottish woman walking around in her shorts and sandals. Sebastian, for you, with this connection to Portugal from your dad and since being a child, how does it mean? What does it mean to you? How does it feel? Sort of finally owning a property here in Portugal, having a home. What does that mean to you?
I mean, it's amazing. It's like finally coming home, and I've always wanted to be there. And for my dad as well, my dad was so happy. I was so happy that, another generation will be in Portugal, and I've got 2 sons and they feel the same. They're very much, firstly and foremostly, they'll look at Portugal. If you're looking at football results, they look at Portugal. you know, it's very much so. But the smile on my father's face when we bought the property to say that we were back in Portugal was something else. So it really was like a homecoming, and it's just such an amazing country. You know, you're never going to tire of that place.
Beautiful. Marianne, do you miss it?
Do I miss it? Oh yeah, definitely. You know, even this year, in fact, we were trying to get, and then, you know, one country opens up its borders, the next one closes. You know, we've come to the UK for 3 weeks, but one of these weeks was supposed to be in Portugal, and we were trying to squeeze it in, and it's just not happened, because now Portugal are asking UK to quarantine for 2 weeks. So, you know, we're in quarantine already here now for a week. You know, it's just not feasible. You know?
But we'll be back for the New Year fireworks.
We're definitely going to be back for Christmas.
We'll be back for the New Year fireworks.
Yeah.
You've got a great spot there for the New Year's fireworks. I mean, you just have to sit on your terrace and just, you don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, we did. No, we didn't actually. I had a meal in one of the restaurants. Yeah.
But amazing. Yeah, and that floating Christmas tree is one of a kind.
Yeah, I think this year, if they put it out, it'll be the 4th or the 5th time that they put out the floating Christmas tree. It's supposed to be one of the biggest floating Christmas tree in Europe.
The only one, I think.
Yeah, the biggest in Europe. Yeah.
They finally got it right. You know, the first year it sank. What do you think? I mean, you know, coming from a place like Saudi Arabia, you've stayed for a while in Bahrain, some pretty hostile places, hot places.
Oh, yeah.
How does it feel coming from those places and then and getting into somewhat into Porto and settling into your place there? What would you describe that feeling as, and how is that experience?
I think the excitement of getting away anyway. You know, let's not dress this up. Saudi Arabia is not it's a difficult country, but it's not just that. There's all the things that we like are not allowed there. You know.
But when we get back to San Martino, not only are you home, but it's you're so relaxed. It's that relaxing. It's like a weight has been lifted. You're home, and everything you want is there. If I don't want to use a car for a week,
you don't have
no problem. I can walk. And the friendliness and the, you know, actually being able to be outside, because here in Saudi Arabia at the minute we're 50 degrees. You know, you're not going anywhere without air conditioning. But to be able to walk along and stop and have a nice refreshing drink and a bite to eat, and the prices are just so nice and the people are so nice. You know, it's just, but actually for me, and you feel safe. I always feel safe, very safe.
Yeah, I was going to ask you in terms of freedom and just being able to cruise around and go to the market and not having to worry about anything.
Yeah,
I mean, it's.
I mean, that fresh produce is just something else, because we'll be seeing a packet of strawberries that are flown halfway around the world,
like for 15 euros,
and I can go there and for like €1 I'm walking out and these things just taste so good. But the freedom to go where you want and not, you know, not that I want to walk around naked, but you know, I can go out in a shorts and t-shirt and it's not a problem.
I can, you know, so yeah, I've got to be totally covered when I go out, so you know, it's even that nice. Little bit of freedom, you know, like a nice bit of pork, like a nice glass of wine, all that is banned in Saudi, you know, so we're in the wrong country, but you know, it's a means to an end, isn't it? You know? Yeah.
Okay, let's play a little game quickly. We're going to do some quick fire questions. Okay, I didn't warn you about this, so I'm going to just fire a question, and each of you answer as quick as possible the first answer that comes to mind. This could be very dangerous, but I'm going to trust that you guys are the ones drinking champagne, so I'm going to trust that you'll keep it PG, because there's children listening to this. Okay, favorite Portuguese word?
Obrigada.
Oh, I've got to say it as well. Hola.
Hola, that's good. It's also an ice cream. First thing you want to do when you get back to Portugal?
Drink wine.
Learn Portuguese. A bit of it anyway.
Because your favorite word was a 3-letter word. I mean, come on, Marianne, you're underachieving here.
As we said, we've had a glass of champagne. I think I actually, that's one thing. I have downloaded and paid for so many apps to learn Portuguese. You've done really well because you are, speaking the language now. We aren't. And because we're in Saudi Arabia, it's Arabic. So, but even when I come to Portugal, even the simple words like thank you and, the bill and things like that, when you're leaving a store, you can either say masalama or, things like that. So there's all these different languages coming into play, and you've got to learn them here in Saudi Arabia. But and then when you go to Portugal, it's like, right, where are we now? I think, isn't it? It's quite hard.
Okay, a few more. Next place in Portugal that you'd like to visit and explore, Sebastian?
Probably more down the Spanish border, down the eastern border.
Okay. Marianne?
And for me, Santarém area.
Santarém?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think we want to. We're looking for another property. Maybe more of a farm type. Not small holding. We want our vines. We want our olive trees, fig trees. Going out and picking a lime for your gin or something. Just like that. I wouldn't mind to keep some bees. Want some chickens running around, but that's about it. I don't want, the big farm, but we need something to keep us busy, I think, as well.
Okay. First plate of food that you want to eat when you're back in Portugal?
As long as it's got fresh fish on it, it's fine.
Yeah, fresh fish.
Fresh fish. Yeah, good choice. Well, you could go get it yourself. It's right there.
My husband did buy a fishing rod.
Did you get a license for it? You know that you have to get a license.
Yes, that's the bit we didn't
we need to do that. I did look into it, and I got all the details.
Got all this.
It's very expensive. It's very expensive, like €5.
I was going to say, it's about €5. Yeah, which is bizarre because in the UK you need a license to fish in rivers, but not in the sea.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
you did sit with that across in the harbour.
Yeah.
On the harbour, on the pier wall. I don't think you caught anything.
Cold.
Yeah, the cold. We ended up in the pizza place that night.
I mean, for you guys, when you're in Saudi, when you're back in the UK, and you hear people talking or asking questions about Portugal, what's something that makes you proud of this place and this country and being associated with Portugal?
One, how welcoming it is. It welcomes everybody. Everybody feels welcome, and everybody I've spoken to that's been to Portugal tells you, the same couple of things: the food and the people. For me, that kind of sums it up.
I think there's a lot of jealousy. There's a lot of jealousy when you say that you have somewhere in Portugal. It's like, oh, you're so lucky. And unfortunately, I work with quite a few Americans, and they're all asking me.
There's a lot of people looking at the option of buying property in Portugal. Whether that becomes a reality, but for us, it was a must.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Marianne and Sebastian, final question. What makes this Portugal your Portugal?
The people and the culture. For me, that's when I get there, from immigration to the first sit down in the restaurant, it's the people. They're happy to see you at immigration. They're happy to see you in the local cafe. Happy to see you in the little Italian restaurant, and he always remembers who I am. It's lovely.
Yeah. Culture, definitely the culture. Yeah.
Lovely.
Anybody that's thinking about it, yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, you guys need to get your butts back to Portugal. We need to have a rendezvous at our restaurant down the road from your house. It's nice for you because you just have to stumble back home afterwards. I have to get in the car, but it's okay. It's okay. Thank you so much. I've loved it. I've loved reminiscing about the process and meeting you guys for the first time. And I hope to see you soon in Portugal again.
So do I. So do I.
Very soon, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Soon.
And for now, I'm going to let you call it.
Okay.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
So thank you once again to Sebastian and Marianne, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We'd love to hear from you. And as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to the simple life.